Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the weekly Inner Circle video. I'm going to ask you a question. What if I told you that you can make $12,500 more a year by doing this one thing? Would you do it? Probably. Yes, I know I would. So what we're going to talk about this week is the morning routine. When I was on vacation a couple weeks ago, I read a book by Hal Elrod called Miracle Morning. Best-selling book. It has sold millions of copies. In fact, it is probably one of the best self-help or self-development books that I've ever read, and it's specifically about a morning routine. I have the last year and a half or so, I have become much of a morning person. I wake up pretty early and have my own routine, but effective July 29th, 2024, I started the Miracle Morning, and the routine, I gotta tell you, it's not easy, but the value that I'm getting in the very short time that I have done this is tremendous. Now, I can speak to just having a morning routine, generally speaking, makes me feel significantly more productive, and I get a lot more done throughout the day. In this book, there is an acronym that Hal Elrod has developed called SAVERS. The SAVERS stands for silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, which is just another word to get the acronym to fit, for writing. This SAVERS routine is something that Miracle Morning says do every day. And the data is overwhelming about those that have a strong morning routine typically are more successful. And if you look at the most successful business people in the world and some of the best and most successful athletes, they all have very upgraded, productive mornings. We'll talk a little bit about these. Now, once again, I'm trying these. Some of these I've done before, but inside of this routine, the thing that, from my perspective, integrating these savers into the daily routine, one thing I'll say about it is you don't have to do this an hour every day. In fact, in the book, he has what's called a 6-minute Miracle Morning, which is basically doing all 6 of the routines, but 1 minute each. So a minute of silence, a minute of affirmations, and a minute of visualization, a minute of exercise, a minute of reading, and a minute for scribing. Let me say this. Silence hasn't been easy for me. Like, I'm not really somebody that meditates, so that's a little difficult, but I am finding that I am getting a little bit more clarity by trying that. And I've been trying this a little longer than even the Miracle Morning. I've been doing the affirmations for a couple of months now, and I have 3 primary affirmations that I read to myself and why they're important and what are those outcomes going to be. And I've always visualized. I visualized a lot when I played sports, but exercise, reading, and writing, those are all part of my routine to begin with. The thing that's important, in my opinion, is personalize it to what fits you. To me, that's a really important part. And the cool thing about this whole Miracle Morning thing, that if you want to try it, I highly recommend it, but there's a Facebook group that you can log into and pay attention to. And the Miracle Morning actually has an app. There's a free version and a paid version if you want to upgrade that version. So there's a lot of accountability around this. The reason why I'd figured that I would at least share, I have found that I have been more productive the last year and a half, probably more so last year, not year and a half, the last year, than I have the prior 10 years. And I attribute that to having a very productive morning. I get out of bed a lot earlier than I ever used to. I would never consider myself a morning person, but now there's something magical about being up before everyone else is and having a level of productivity. And I get it if you've got kids and you've got a morning routine. What I would say is try waking up 30 minutes earlier and trying some of these. I think it's, from my perspective, it's really good. I'm going to give you 2 journal prompts, and I want to make sure that you're paying close attention. I know it's been a couple weeks since we've done journal prompts. I want to do them in most weeks, but some weeks are better than others. So I'm going to read this journal prompt to you. Where are the qualities that you admire most about yourself? I want you to ask yourself that first. What are those qualities where you admire yourself most? What values guide your decisions and actions? Write down those qualities and the values, and then consider how they contribute to the day-to-day productivity. And I'd be willing to bet when I first started writing last summer, when I first started doing this, or last fall, I didn't really know what to write about. But the one thing that I did recognize when I started writing and rereading back what I was writing about, I realized the things that I stood for wasn't really showing up in my day-to-day life. It wasn't showing up in my day-to-day routine. And so I really hope you get out a pen and notebook for this journal prompt, because I really want to make sure that where your values and where your best attributes are, you're actually doing those things throughout the day. And if you're not, then there's an imbalance that we need to figure out. The second journal prompt is imagine yourself 5 years from now. And I've asked you this before. If you were writing a letter from 5 years into the future to your current self today, what advice would you give yourself? And list some of your achievements. And that's really important because that's where the visualization part comes in. And this stuff really does work. For those of you that may be a little bit older, at least Gen X or older millennials, the Michael Jordans and the Barry Bonds of the world, Tiger Woods, another one, they talk a lot about visualization. You know, imagine having the ball with 2 seconds left, taking the last shot. And there's something to be said about that because remember, the brain doesn't understand the difference between reality and what's pretend. If you have any questions about the Miracle Morning, I'd be happy to answer any of those questions. I found the book extremely valuable with significant practical applications that you could use in the moment. Thank you guys. Have a great week. Looking forward to hearing all of the great, wonderful things that are happening to you. And I hope more than anything that you start to practice a morning routine, because I think if you can do that and stick to it, I promise you, you will see significant rewards beyond what you could have imagined. So just try getting up 30 minutes earlier. Talk to you soon. Thanks.